This is DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with Rob Wallis from Hudson Music. Hi there, Rob.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Thanks for having me.
So, my first question for you is, what age did you get into drums, and can you remember what your first drum set was?
I started playing around 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, and I would save my allowance money and, errands I would do. I'd get paid for cutting the grass and birthday money and the holiday money, like all that stuff. I just always was saving up to buy a drum. And, I started out, my first drum was a Kent Silver Sparkle snare drum, which I still have. It's actually being refurbished right now. And then I started with a Slingerland drum kit, and I bought, one drum at a time, or when my birthday came, I'd ask my parents to get me a floor tom or something, not like normal stuff, like, a bicycle like kids get, but there was always, not always probably, but a lot of drum related stuff for a long time. And then I ended up with a Ludwig Black Diamond Pearl set. But yeah, drumming's been I don't know why or how, because neither of my parents or no one in the family was into, music other than listening. So I don't know where it came from, but I got bit with the bug real early.
And if you had to pick just one, who's your all-time favorite drummer?
Well, I've been asked before, but I'd probably say Steve Gadd. He still moves me emotionally, with his playing. And I just think he plays, so much for the music and so soulfully in whatever style of music he's playing. He's probably my, if I had to pick one, there's so many guys that I just love listening to and watching play, but probably Steve, if I had to just pick one and take him on the island with me.
Yeah, it's like a desert island disc question, isn't it? Desert island drummer.
Yeah.
Should rename it that. So can you talk us through how you started Hudson Music and what it is today? And actually, I should probably say, so for people that are watching this that don't know Hudson Music, well, first of all, you should. And second, Hudson Music, for me anyway, really helped me through my drumming journey with loads of DVDs and just amazing stuff that I've watched over the years. So this is actually an opportunity to say thanks, Rob, because, without that material, I wouldn't be who I am today. So yeah, talk us through the journey of Hudson Music.
Well, first, thanks for the kind words. Hudson really started my first company was called DCI Music Video, and it was named after a school that I co-owned in New York City, starting in the early 80s, called Drummers Collective. And so the DCI Music Video, those are the initials. We couldn't think of a creative name, so we just picked DCI, standing for Drummers Collective. But, we had a very small drum school in 1980 in New York, and we started videotaping some master classes. I had heard about this coming thing called the VCR, and people would have a VHS or a beta tape machine at home, and they could play tapes, they could record off TV and play, home movies and everything. So it just seemed like a great way of capturing, what was happening at the school, really. So we started to record some of the master classes. Early ones were actually Bernard Purdy, Lenny White, a drummer named Yogi Horton from New York. And then when we did the Steve Gadd video in '81, that's when things really kind of, took off and, internationally got a lot of attention, because everyone was hearing about this guy that never left the studios in New York. He rarely played live, and if he did, it was in a big venue. So, you know, people were wondering what he was all about. And, you know, it took a long time to convince him to do something, but after a lot of effort, we got it together and put out the first video called Steve Got Up Close. And after that, you know, it really took off. We built a big catalog of titles, got into doing bass. I had produced the original Jaco Pastorius instructional video in '85, and we were working with people like Chick Corea and Dave Weckl and Carlos Santana. It was a big catalog. And then we sold it, and I became an employee of Warner Brothers Music for a short time. And then after my contract expired with Warner's, I didn't really like corporate life, so I started a company again with my business partner, and it was called Hudson Music. And that's where we are today. I own the company now fully, and we have been producing a lot of DVDs, but now it's really focused on books with video. And we made a real big push into the digital world. So we have a very large catalog now of drum books that are written by other people and produced and distributed by other people, in addition to Hudson. So we have all the old classic books. We just did a deal with Alfred Music. So we have all the, like Ted Reed and Stick Control and Syncopation and, you know, all those books. We've got probably around 200 book titles in the digital library now. And, you know, we got some really cool stuff coming out, some new projects in the works. You know, I've got a new book I'm working on now with David Garibaldi. A great book is at the printers now on Brazilian drumming with a Brazilian drummer named Kiko Fritas, which is really phenomenal. It's got, I think it's got 150 video clips in it. So for the digital version, it's fantastic. You just tap the button and the video appears. And that'll be coming out probably in about 6 weeks. And what else? We've got the next autobiography coming out. We started doing hardcover biographies, which has been really fun. There's a Buddy Rich biography that came out a few months ago. The next one is also at the printers, Liberty DeVito, Billy Joel's original drummer and the drummer that played on all the hits. And they had a famous falling out, and there's a surprise ending in that book. So that's a great bio. And then the next one after that, which will be out after the summer, is Jeff Porcaro. And it's phenomenal, a fantastic book. I couldn't put it down when I got it. So yeah, we've got a lot of things coming out. We just released a book with Mike Clark, which has done really well and gotten a lot of attention around the world. It's been cool. So yeah, we've been really busy. Hudson Music.
And what would you say has been your favorite project, you know, your favorite project ever for either of those companies? Is that easy to answer?
It's like saying, who's your favorite kid? You know, if you have like 8 kids, you know. It's really, you know, I get so engrossed in each one, and pour, you know, so much effort and my heart into them, as do all the guys that we work with and our whole production team. Honestly, you know, kind of my favorite one is the one I'm working on today. It's really, and that's honest. You know, they each have different, you know, kind of attributes, each project, and, you know, getting to work with, you know, the artists that I get to work with every day, I just feel really blessed. I, you know, so many friends, guys that have become friends, you know, personally, that we talk to outside of music and outside of, you know, a project. You know, I really am very lucky and very blessed with that. So yeah, I mean, I really couldn't say. There certainly have been some that have, you know, reached commercial success more than others. But I don't judge that, you know, solely on that. Certainly, you know, working with Neil Peart was, you know, an amazing experience. Every project we did, and we did 3 different DVDs and a book. Dealing with Neil was always a just pure joy, and we would really end up with something that was much different than where it started out. You know, it was really a 1 and 1 equals 3 kind of thing between my partner and the production people we used, and Neil, and you know, all this input, everything. It always grew, and I think that's why Neil did multiple projects with us, because he enjoyed them as well. And but you know, there's just so many. There's literally hundreds of titles since the early '80s that I've been fortunate enough to produce.
Is there somewhere where people can have a look through the catalogue of what you've got to be able to purchase things? Can you point people in the right direction for that?
The easiest place to go to is hudsonmusic.com. Everything is there. All the books, all the DVDs, all the digital downloads show up. There's a little search button at the top of the page on the home page that you can just type a name in or a style, and you know, it'll lead you to you know, a listing, because the catalog is large and sometimes it's a little hard to you know, navigate and find exactly what you want. So the search field is definitely a good thing to use.
So if you're watching this and you're bored at home and you're thinking, oh, you know, I've been practicing, but I don't know what to do next. Well, there you are. Go to hudsonmusic.com and just have a browse, but also think, okay, what drummers inspire me? And, you know, type the name in and see what's there. And you know, there will be stuff to work on that website that will help you become a better drummer.
Absolutely. You know, there's a lot. And what's great about digital is, you know, as soon as you pay for it and hit the click button, you know, it gets downloaded to, you know, you have instant access. So you don't have to worry about waiting for something to come in the post and worrying about, you know, or going to a store. You know, it's immediate. And it's great because you can fit so many titles in your iPad or, you know, whatever you're using. And what's really amazing, it's just a better format when there's media. In other words, when you have a book that has either audio or video, you just tap the screen and a box pops open with the video right there. So, you know, you can watch it. Then you tap it again, it disappears, and you go on your way in the book. So it makes it so easy. You're not having to go to another website and download video or download audio or use a CD or a DVD. It's like, boom, you tap the button and you're right there in business. So it really is a great format. And I think when people discover it, and you know, we get great letters and response from people, like, you know, that really are surprised at how cool it is and easy to use. So yeah, hudsonmusic.com.
And actually, talking about that, I think it's probably worth mentioning here that you've had to adapt to the changing technology, because obviously you started off, as you say, VHS, you know, yeah, and then obviously DVD, and now, you know, digital. And I think the youngsters, certainly that we teach in this studio, they obviously don't realize that they've only ever grown up with that. They don't realize that, you know, when I was younger, I was watching VHS, and if there was something that I wanted to, oh, that was a cool fill, hang on, let's just rewind. And, you know, there's no slowing it down. And I think, yeah, these days with this whole digital platform, it's such a great thing that the younger drummers of today have got at their fingertips, isn't it?
They're lucky. They don't realize the you know, the pain and the trials and tribulations we had with, you know, rewinding a 90-minute, you know, VHS tape. You know, you sit there for 5 minutes until it rewound. You know, yeah, it's been a great, you know, that progression has, I think, really, you know, we're at the best place so far that I've seen. I don't know where it goes from here, but it's definitely in a great place in terms of easy use. You know, you can have, you know, 50 books in your iPad. You know, you don't need a backpack full of, you know, things to lug around to your drum lesson or to practice. So yeah, you know, it's really all about convenience.
It's funny, I've had a few students in the past where I've said, oh, you know, I used to, I learned I learned this song listening to this band on a VHS, and the child goes, a what? And you're like, a VHS, and they go, what's I don't have a clue. It just blows my mind that they've never seen one, and they probably never will.
Yeah.
So just moving away from drums and from music for a sec, what are your hobbies away from drumming, music, work?
It's a good question. I mean, um, you know, I don't view what I do as work, although it's work. You know, it's a it's almost a lifestyle. You know, I get calls, you know, on weekends from guys. I don't view it like, oh, you know, or 11 o'clock at night, I may get a text from Steve Smith with an idea for something, or if we're in the middle of working on a project, you know, an artist will send me, you know, it's been, you know, it's sort of 24/7. So for me, it, and I largely work out of my home. I have a home office. Um, I do love sports, and I, you know, particularly love baseball, which unfortunately there's no baseball season so far this year, and God knows what's going to happen. But and you know, I like to fish a little bit, but you know, I don't view what I do as like punching a clock, or it's 5 o'clock, it's time to stop work. You know, I often work, you know, into the night. You know, when I had young kids that, you know, I want to have dinner with them, and then I kind of fire up again at night. You know, it was just, you know, being a small company and having a small number of employees, you know, we end up doing a lot of things, as I'm sure you know. You know, you do a lot of things yourself, and it's time consuming, and time management becomes crucial because there's only so many hours in the day. But and I love what I do, so you know, I really do wake up feeling blessed that, you know, today I'm going to, you know, whoever, I mean, I just was on the phone with Steve Smith talking about the Zoom thing we're going to be doing tomorrow, and you know, Liberty DeVito's book and the Picaro book, and you know, the people that, you know, sometimes I'm shocked at some of the emails I get. You know, we're doing interviews for the Picaro book, so there's been quite an interesting cast of characters, you know, responding. But you know, it's an honest answer, and especially being kind of hunkered down at home with this pandemic, it makes it even more hours of the day available to sit and work. So, you know, I'm sitting there at night watching a movie and answering emails, or, you know, proofing something. So yeah, no complaints. You know, I really feel blessed.
I think I've said this to many people, and I think that's where we're lucky as musicians, drummers, people that love music, that it started as a hobby, you know, with the drum kit that we got for Christmas or whatever, and it's developed into a job, whether it's, you know, what you do or what I do. It's developed into this career, and that doesn't mean it can't still be something that we love doing, something that's we still class as a hobby. I mean, drums are still very much my hobby, even though they pay the bills.
Right. Yeah. You know, I still play, in the last probably 5 years, I've been playing more, you know, more than ever, which is kind of surprising to me, you know, at my age. But and that's the thing I miss the most right now with what's going on in the world, is not being able to play music. And it's daunting thinking about, you know, when are we going to be able to start up again? You know, I was you know, doing some really great things musically, really enjoying it over the last few years, and playing with some bands. We had some really great, you know, gigs planned for the summer, some, you know, across kind of the whole Northeast of the US, in theaters and outdoor shows, and everything's been scrubbed. So that's the tough part right now for what's going on. So I really feel lucky that I've got all the things going on with Hudson Music, so I don't sit around and worry and think about the dark side. You know, I'm putting the time to good use, and I think everyone's got to do that. You know, if you're hunkered in, and it's going to be like this for a while. I mean, the world is definitely going to be changed. You know, put it to really good use. Put your time to good use. Think about what you're doing with your time every day.
Great advice. Yeah, absolutely. And going from serious advice there to probably the most important question of this whole interview. I hope you're ready for this one, Rob. So, what's your favorite cookie?
Cookies are one of my weaknesses, you know. I guess a good chocolate chip cookie. You know, a toss up between chocolate chip and oatmeal.
Okay.
This is an important question.
Yeah, it is.
Key question in life.
But
Good one.
I don't know if you guys do it, you know, in the US as much as we do, but we're quite known for dunking our biscuits in our tea or coffee. Would you dunk your cookie in something liquid based?
I'm a coffee fanatic. I drink coffee all day long, and I love trying different coffees and grinding beans and all this. So yeah, absolutely a good dunk and a cup of coffee, and you know, I'm in heaven.
My last question, back to being serious. If you could give one bit of advice to up and coming drummers, or even let's go with the whole like entrepreneurs, people that want to make make a business like you have. It doesn't have to necessarily be a drummer. If you could give them one bit of advice, what would that be?
I think, you know, you need to, let's just say you're a drummer, and you're 20 years old or 25, you know, 22 years old, you've gone to school, you finished your schooling, you know, you want to be in the music business, you want to play drums. I think it's important to really keep as much playing opportunities open as possible. So that means being really well versed in just about every style of music you can think of, you know. And it doesn't mean you're going to love playing country music if you want to play hard rock or you want to play thrash metal, you know, whatever. But if you want to work, you've got to be able to say yes anytime the phone rings. And so I think it's important, especially these days, because playing is going to be more limited over the next, you know, year or two than ever. I think it's really important that you, you know, have a real broad palette for musical styles. You can read music, maybe be able to play some percussion, so that you never say no to a gig or a recording session, because every time you play, it gives you an opportunity to meet other people that can recommend you for the next thing. And that's how everybody I know that have a career in music, you know, it grows, and that's the way it grows. In terms of doing things like I do on the publishing side, you know, there was no rule book. I've kind of made it up, and you know, it took my family, you know, 15 years to understand what I did for a living, because you know, no one was making videos back in those days, and you know, I think now it's a little bit more. I can explain. Yeah, I publish books, you know, instructional books with, you know, well-known, you know, musicians, but you know, I think it's important to be, you know, versed in books, and, you know, write a book, you know, write some things out for your students, you know, be organized and build a catalog of, if you're a drum teacher and you want to do some teaching, you know, stay organized and put things together. So I think it's a question really of picking some things, being targeted, using your time wisely, and you know, really trying a broad scope of things to make a living, because it's not getting any easier, unfortunately.
Rob, thank you so much for spending your time with us here at DrumWise today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
My pleasure, Tom. I really appreciate you taking the time and thinking of me and including me in what you're doing, and best of luck. And you know, I know we'll get through this thing and we'll figure out something new on the other side.